Okay, Kenrick, little video just to wrap our lesson up today, mate. So, um, we've got Andy Plummer on the left side, you on the right side. So, you know, the basis of what we're working on in your golf swing, mate, is we need to get our hips sliding towards the target as we start down, right? So if we can get our hips sliding towards the target more, then the mass, the weight will be more over the left foot, and you'll be able to push down into the ground with the left foot more, right? The reason why you've had all these issues with your left heel coming off the ground and just spinning around your left foot is because the hips are not sliding towards the target enough, right? So you can see from P4 down to P5, they're just, you know, your left hip, your left pocket is hardly getting outside that green line to start the downswing, right? So this is a guy who literally wrote the book on shifting the weight forward and keeping the weight forward, right? He wrote the book, right? So you watch him from P4 to P5 and watch his hips. The club hasn't even started down yet. You watch the hips. You watch him move his hips outside, or at least the left pocket and the left side of the left hip outside of that green line already, right? Already. And then it carries on sliding, right? Carries on sliding and carries on sliding and carries on sliding, right? And then when he finishes, his hips, or certainly his right pocket, is past that green line now, right? That's truly sliding your hips forward and starting with a bit of weight forward and then moving your weight progressively forward, right? So we're not sliding them enough to start the downswing, therefore that heel can keep coming off the ground, which is your pattern, right? We've got way too much weight on the right side through impact, right? And you can see that through the right foot just coming up off the ground there instead of the right heel leading the toes, right? You watch him because he's slid his hips forward. Watch how his heel is actually he's way in front of his toes there. Your heel just comes straight up, which tells me you're just spinning off your back foot, right? If you slide your hips forward, right, then that right heel starts to lead the toes, right? And then as you come through, that right pocket then here finishes past that green line. Now when you finish, your hips, your right pocket is so far behind the green line, right, that we just and again your heel stays behind your toes, right? All these things are little things that we pick up on when you're not shifting your weight forward, right? It's as simple as that. And then that would explain why you're bringing the club so low and left, right? Because all your rotation is just coming from your upper body, right? If you slid your hips forward and then you had some right tilt through impact, then your club would be shallowing out a bit more. You get a bit more of an in to out sort of path, right? And then you'd see the club. Let me pull up your other angle, and then what we'd start to do is we'd start to see the club come out just above your just below your left shoulder, whereas you can see your club's coming out way below your left shoulder, way too low, right? Way too low, and you can see just how much you're spinning round on that back foot. So eventually, mate, when you start sliding your hips further forward, the club will start exiting just underneath your left shoulder. That's where we want it, right? So that'll shallow out the path a little bit. You'll start to hit these shots, which are just little pushes and little push draws. At the moment, your bad shots are pull, right? Because we're coming just very fractionally across it because there's no sliding of the lower body, therefore there's no right tilt. Right tilt shallows it out a little bit and makes the path go out to the right a little bit. And heaven forbid you turn the club face over, you're going to end up with one which ends up right over there. Alright? So that's our lesson today in a nutshell, mate. We want to try and get your hips sliding more on the downswing, right? You've got to feel as though you're getting your hips past that green line. So what we ended up doing was getting a stick on the ground here in between your feet and then saying, right, slide past the stick, right? And that was your drill, Right, that was
Yeah,
your
man.
drill.
You know, one of those swing